Hey, welcome everyone. Welcome. So glad that you can join me. Just seeing if we are live. And are we? I see we're on YouTube. Is Rumble working? Oh man. Hang on, let me see if I got it going here. Let's see if it's working now. Are we live? Thanks for being patient as I'm working out all the bugs. Come on. Let's see. Failed to connect to stream. Okay, hang on just a second. Let me see if I can get this going. Modify. Okay. We're almost there. Let's see. Here we go. You got that? Okay. Start. Now I think it's going. I think we're live in both places, so we'll see how long we last before it crashes. I have just been looking forward to streaming on multiple platforms. It's been hard working it out. There's so many variables to it. There's so many variables. Is it my computer fast enough? Does it have enough RAM? Is the bit rate correct? Is my internet upload fast enough? There's lots of variables. It's hard to figure things out when there's lots of variables, but that's okay because it looks like it's working for all the millions and millions of people that are watching live. As I say that totally sarcastically. Okay, my God. Not many. Anyway, well, I got a fun story to kick it off today because it is November 29th. It's a Wednesday. That means it's a Big Idea Wednesday. And this is a big idea. We're talking about the Dunning-Krugger effect. Oh, yeah. You may know about that. So, welcome, my fellow humans and potential victims of our own overinflated self-assessment. Today, we're going to dive into the murky waters of Dunning-Krugger effect. You know, the magical theory of psychology that made us all feel a little smarter by telling us that we're actually smarter than the average bear. But hold on to your hats, folks. Because we may have been duped. Yeah, it turns out the whole Dunning-Krugger shtick might be as scientific as using your star sign to find love. We've been led to believe that we're all wandering around a fog of incompetence, convinced we're the next Einstein, but surprise, surprise, might just be a mirage in a desert of psychological theories. But hey, who doesn't love a good old cognitive bias, right? It's a psychological get-out-of-jail-free card for our egos. I'm not delusional. It's just Dunning-Krugger. But wait, here's the kicker. What if we're not as lost in the wilderness of ignorance as we've been led to believe? Maybe we're just self-awareness ninjas, dodging bullets of mediocrity with our mental acrobatics. Here's the punchline. Perhaps we're not all stuck in a never-ending loop of overestimation. Or maybe I'm just falling into the too much morning coffee effect. Yeah, let's slap a label on that one too. Remember, take everything with a grain of salt, especially when it comes to science and our supposed clueless brains. My name's Tom Coffee. This is the Coffee Nuance Show, best censored commentary news show live right now. Flame on. So this is kind of interesting. This is the Dunning-Krugger effect, and you may have heard about this. And as it goes, it's supposedly a cognitive bias where people with the lowest abilities in a particular skill tend to overestimate their competence in that area. And it was coined by psychologists David Dunning and Justin Kruger in the late 90s. Now, this phenomenon suggests that those least skilled often lack the experience to recognize their own deficiencies, leading to an inflated self of confidence. Conversely, those who excel in a field may underestimate their abilities due to assuming others possess similar skills. This effect highlights the discrepancy between individuals' perceived competence, and their actual capabilities, shaping how they evaluate themselves relative to each other. So, here's how this works. And it's funny that I just recently came across this. People have been talking about this supposedly online for well over a decade, that this may be nonsense. Articles have been written on it, but I've never seen those articles. They've never come up in my feed before. And I didn't necessarily look for it. You know, if you want to find articles like that to challenge things, one thing that you can do is you can put in whatever term you're researching, and then put in criticism or debunked or something like that. See if anyone's written about it, and at least then you can get the other side of things. But the big smart idea with Dunning-Krugger is what they're saying is the people that know the least don't know that they know the least, and therefore they're the ones with the most confidence. Well, it turns out that's not really true, and it's not reproducible. And, you know, what do you know about science that's not reproducible, right? It's not reliable, okay? So I've looked back and I've done at least 50 big idea videos where I just talk about a psychological phenomenon or whatnot. And anytime I Google, you know, I'm looking for an idea to talk about, I'll Google psychological phenomenon, see if there's any recent news articles or publications on that, what's trending, everything. Dunning-Krugger always has come up since I started this series. It's always come up, and I've never wanted to do a video about it because I never really believed it. And that's something that I do, right? I'm not just going to put something out because someone said it if I don't actually believe it. Now, probably that's to my own downfall, right? I should know that if I'm producing content online, I just need to go with what's going to get clicks. Who cares if I believe it or not, right? That should be the way I go about things. Channel might be a little bigger if I decided to do that. But I never really bought into the Dunning-Krugger idea, because the thing is, right, everybody overestimates their abilities on things. Everyone, you know, it's like if you were to line people up and say, hey, rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, right? Everyone is going to overestimate themselves. When I say everyone, hashtag not everyone, I mean most, vast majority of people, they're going to overestimate their looks. They're going to overestimate their intelligence. They're going to overestimate their ability. Everyone does that. Everyone does that. The difference is this is a simple math thing, right? If you're in the lowest percentile, well, now you can overestimate your ability by a whole lot, right? If you're in the bottom 1 percentile, you've got a 99% range that you can overestimate your ability. If you're in the top percentile, it's really difficult to overestimate your ability. So it just comes down to math. I've read some criticisms of this, that they were able to reproduce the results of the Dunning-Krugger experiment with random numbers. And if you can reproduce it with random numbers, well, it's probably not useful at all. And how many times have you heard people talk about, you know, Dunning-Krugger? It is a good insult, though, right? I think it is a fun insult, even if you're not using it in the way that it was originally written. It's just a way of calling someone really ignorant and overconfident. You know, you just call them Dunning-Krugger. It's a good insult. but it just doesn't bear out on the math. And obviously, I'm not co-signing this. I have not looked at exactly how they did this. And this is probably a confirmation bias for myself, because I've always had a gut feeling that that was nonsense. I've always had that gut feeling. It just didn't seem right to me. That's why I never did a video on it. It would have been a very easy topic for me to do, because every time I search for cognitive bias, every time I search for psychological phenomenon, Dunning-Krugger is right at the top of the list. But I've never done a video on it because I didn't buy it, you know? So that's something to think about. You can look into Dunning-Krugger, see if it makes sense to you, see if you buy what they're selling. But many people in the scientific community are no longer buying this pop psychology explanation for things. So just something to think about on this Big Idea Wednesday. We got a good show. I got a number of stories to get to that I was unable to get to yesterday. Yesterday, the stream just kind of crapped out. So today, I changed some settings, and it appears to be working. You know, the stream appears to be pretty good. The stream health seems to be excellent. I dropped the resolution down to 720 rather than 1080. So we'll see if that makes a big difference. But anyway, I'm hopeful that when this is done, I can look at the results of this stream, look at the analytics, and decide if I got the settings right, if I need to keep making more tweaks to it. But that's a little background on what's going on there. But yeah, we got a number of stories to get to today. What do you think about this Dunning-Krugger effect? I know I just introduced the idea that perhaps it might just be random. It might just be an effect of math, right? You know, I've always said half the people out there, no matter what job you have, right? Half the trash collectors, half the police officers, half the teachers, half of them are worse than average. And people, what? Worse than average? That's math, right? That's math. Anyway, it's an interesting concept. Anyway, let's get to not the big news, but just some other news stories of the day. We got Ron and Gav are having a meetup real soon. Yeah. Now this is interesting. I want to double check something here real quick, because I'm not seeing any chat in the Rumble, but perhaps there's no chat in the Rumble. Perhaps nobody on Rumble wants to chat, which is totally acceptable. You're welcome here anyway. That's what I am. I'm a lurker. I lurk. Okay, chat's working. There we go. Cool. Okay. All right. So Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and California Governor Gavin Newsom are set for a televised debate showcasing their divergent governing styles. DeSantis, eyeing a potential presidential run, views this as an opportunity to not only challenge a blue state governor, but also to preemptively engage in a potential rival for the presidency, considering alternatives to Joe Biden like Newsom or Kamala Harris. DeSantis aims to portray Newsom's ideology as perilous for the country, which it is. Newsom, denying immediate presidential aspirations, plans to use the debate to defend Biden's record against what he perceives as DeSantis's misinformation. That's right. Both governors hope to leverage this debate to bolster their political standing, with DeSantis seeking to revive his national image and Newsom aiming to counter declining approval in California. For DeSantis, this is really a chance to rally Republican support and present his message to influential donors ahead of the 2020 primary race. So, yeah, this is going to be quite the show. It's going to be be hosted by Sean Hannity. And I got to say, good on Gavin Newsom for going on Sean Hannity to do this debate. It's so rare that people on the left are willing to go talk with people on the right, whereas people on the right seem to have no problem going on news programs or shows of people on the left. But to me, this is just fortifying the prediction that I made, at least 6 months ago, that Gavin Newsom will be the next president of the United States. Not only is he going to be the candidate for the Democrats, in my opinion, he's going to be the next president. I don't want him to be. That's just my prediction. And I have made that public prediction. I don't know anyone that's made that prediction before me. And I made it on this channel. I'm unaware of anyone that made that prediction that he would be the winner of the presidency. So that's why I kind of repeat it every now and then, just to remind you of what I'm saying. I don't want that to happen. I really don't. But that's what I think will happen. Anyway, this debate is going to be interesting. I think both guys are going to do well. Gavin Newsom is especially charismatic. He's good looking. He's got nice teeth. They could be porcelain fronts, probably. You know, he's in California, of course. Why not? But I think he is especially skilled, silver-tongued, skilled presenter and debater, and I look forward to seeing it. I may do a watch along on the Rumble for that tomorrow night. I'll have to see what time it is and what channel it is, and if I'm able to do that or not. But I'll look into that. But anyway, that's my prediction. That's happening. I believe it's tomorrow night. So yeah, I think that'll be fun. You know, Ron DeSantis has really kind of been written off now. His campaign just hasn't caught on, and he's not being portrayed that well in the media. He's just had some charisma gaps, in my opinion, which is unfortunate, because just because someone isn't super charismatic doesn't mean that they wouldn't make a good leader. And just because you are charismatic doesn't mean that you would be a good leader. The most capable leaders might not be super charismatic people. And I'm not sure why we treat the presidential race as some kind of, why that should even have an effect. And I think an introvert can be a good president. And I think Ron DeSantis appears to be an introvert. And that's probably the biggest thing going against him right now. But anyway, this will be real interesting. Say real interesting one more time, Tom. Jeez. This is going to be good. Well, I look forward to it. But let's go to the next story. So COP28, hosted by United Arab Emirates in Dubai, gathers diplomats from 200 countries to assess climate progress. Main focus, checking if nations meet Paris Agreement goals. Key issues are funding for affected nations, fossil fuel phase-out debates. Past COP conferences saw agreements, but limited follow-through on climate targets. Critics note rising emissions despite these summits, progress in pledges since Paris, but challenges persist in hitting the targets. You know, I think the most interesting thing here is, I mean, let's just look at the little picture-in-picture here. World Government Summit on climate. It's being hosted by an oil country. Really? You know, it's like Exxon hosting something on clean oceans. You know, I don't know. I don't know about this. It was also interesting that our own President Joe Biden did not make the trip to this conference. No real explanation why, but okay. I don't know. Just the irony is just really, really rich here. It's kind of like, like the same place hosting a conference on women's rights or something. You know? It's just kind of ironic. I don't have much else to say about that. But next up, we got some news, and then some more news. I know. Hunter Biden ordered to testify publicly in the House Republican impeachment inquiry into his father's administration. This inquiry focuses on Hunter's business dealings and alleges improper access trading while Joe Biden was vice president. White House has denied any wrongdoing. The House Oversight Committee subpoenaed Hunter Biden and others. Hunter's lawyer criticized the closed-door process, proposed a public hearing. While the committee set a deposition date, Hunter's lawyer suggested a public hearing in December. Now, since then, this is the story I wrote for yesterday. And I think there's probably an update. I think they rejected the public hearing. Yeah, so Hunter said he would testify, but only in public, and I think the GOP rejected that. So we'll just see how that plays out. We'll see how that plays out. I don't. He was never going to testify. He was never going to testify in public. There's no way the White House would allow him in front of a mic. Just general things here. You don't let a crackhead testify. You don't do that, especially if they got secrets about you. You never let them in front of a microphone. And I believe that Hunter is now has dealt with his addictions, but you and I only wish the best for him, right? But they're never going to let that guy in front of a microphone. It's not going to happen. This was all a stunt. So yeah. Anyway, let's get to the next story. So, Connecticut has made a plan to ban gas-powered car sales by 2035. Well, guess what? Now it's on hold. Governor Lamont will discuss electric vehicles instead of this scheduled vote. The opposition concerns costs and infrastructure. The governor's office hasn't commented on the change. Some suggest focusing on cost-effective proposals and consumer choice. So we'll just have to see what happens with that. I believe the press conference is probably happening right now as we speak. Yeah. But this is an interesting thing that so many blue states are kind of pushing these different global climate agenda goals. And one of them is to do away with all gas-powered vehicles. Now, I know here in Oregon, they've done some. They want to do away with all diesel within a couple of years, which is a drag for me because that's what I drive. Gets the best fuel efficiency, better fuel efficiency than a Prius. Just saying. But we're going to do away with that for reasons. So a lot of blue states are just coming up with these different climate agendas that they're pushing out locally to test to see if they work or not. And I'm all for testing. I'm all for testing. Doing away with all gas-powered vehicles seems a bit hasty to me. But there was too much pushback, and they were not able to do this currently in the state of Connecticut like they'd hoped. But I'm sure that there will be another blue state governor that will kind of push something like this through. Because that's what the campaign contributions are for. Anyway, let's get to one more pushback on some regulation. There we go. Okay. New Zealand had plans for a major smoking ban, but the new government reversed it to fund tax cuts, citing concerns about potential black market. This decision sparked disappointment globally among health officials who emphasized the importance of phasing out smoking. Critics slammed the move, saying it prioritized the economy over public health. Health Coalition stressed that the need for strong policies to tackle harmful products like tobacco, it's what they got to do, right? This is something very interesting just happened. I'll tell you about it in just a minute. I'm looking. Okay, here we go. Good. Okay. Just make sure that I have this turned off. Boom. All right. Sorry about that. Okay. Well, this is interesting with the it's really hard to enact these big changes when the economy is in shambles, right? So when the economy gets so wrecked, you can no longer push these health agendas, climate agendas, some kind of racial stuff, gender stuff. You can't do that when the economy is too wrecked. And that's what happened in New Zealand. Their economy is too destroyed right now to try any of these things. And that's what the pushback was about. I wonder about the banning of smoking. Now, I don't think people should smoke cigarettes. I don't. I guess you should have the choice to do it. I like that there's a ban on public smoking because I don't want to breathe in your smoke. I like that I go into a restaurant and I am not soaked up with smoke. But I have mixed feelings about this. I live in a state that all drugs are decriminalized, and it would be interesting to be in a place where it's like, well, you can do heroin, you just can't do tobacco. Something about that doesn't really quite make sense, because I think heroin is probably a lot worse for you than tobacco. So if we're really that concerned about public health, maybe we should deal with heroin first. I don't know, but there are some inconsistencies there. Obviously, I think there's different ways that you can go about it. I can't believe how much cigarettes cost now. I'm blown away how anyone can afford to be a cigarette smoker. I mean, talk about just throwing money away. Guess you do look cool, though, right? You look cool. It's pretty expensive. Pretty expensive on your health as well. Anyway, so that's what happened in New Zealand. Pushback, so they're not going to outlaw cigarettes like they had planned. So that's interesting. Now, the last story that I have for you today, I think is good news. And I'm going to share that with you here, but for reasons that you may understand when I show you. I might be a little cagey about it. So let me tell you about the good news of the day. Let's see if I can get this. Okay. Here is the good news of the day. Now, this is on Newsweek. So, Newsweek published this article today. And you can go read it there. And this is a big deal. I think that this story people have lied about a whole lot. There's been a lot of misinformation about this story. But for reasons, it's really hard to discuss this story without being totally hidden off of all platforms. But, you can read this story. And you know what I'm going to do here? Let's make it a little bigger. Let's make it a little bigger. Okay. And then we're going to get to the fairness meter on this story. Because this is something, the fairness meter, I think, is a really big deal. I do like these quick little explainer videos that some put up. And you can kind of see the bias of these things. I was actually shocked that this is being reported by Newsweek, because it is not being reported by many other outlets. And it is an unsolved murder. So you would think that unsolved murders, there would be a lot of interest in unsolved murders. And this is a big unsolved murder. But I encourage you to read this story. It often, like here, it is often says, now debunked conspiracy theory. Well, I don't agree with that, reporting on that. But we get to the bottom here in the fairness meter. Now, in my opinion, this article is unfair, left-leaning. Okay, that's my opinion of this article, and I'm going to confirm my selection. And it told me, thanks for rating. Most readers rated this article left-leaning, unfair. Makes me wonder how long this article will be up. But anyway, I encourage you to read the article and leave your comments. in the comment section. I'll be going through all your comments today. But to me, this is really good news because, one, we're going to get some more information on it, and it may answer some questions. It may answer some questions. So I'm really looking forward to this on a personal note. But anyway, let's get to the after show where I will be going through all of your comments. And yeah, so let's. So I'll see you in the after show. Oops, there we go. See, I don't know what's going on over at the Rumble. We have a number of people watching live, but people are not in the chat, which is okay. I, too, am a lurker. I watch channels and do not comment. So I can't turn around and expect differently, right? But anyway, let's go through some of the comments. Oh, good. I was beginning to think that technical problems had taken you completely out, Tom. Looking forward to the show. Well, thank you. Thank you. This appears to be working. I appear to have a good stream. I think I got the settings correct. So, knock on wood. It says the stream health is excellent. So afterwards, I will look at it and see if the quality was good enough, if I need to change the bit rate and all that other kind of stuff. So that's but that is kind of good news. I am not Legion, it's just me, but bump. Hey Tom, my son accuses me of all the categories explained in the critical thinking cards whenever we get into an argument. Yes, he is a man who thinks he's a woman, so I'm thinking projection. Wow. Okay. Oh, see, when you do more, I click on the more, and then it doesn't do anything. Is the main, let's see, can I? Projection is the main thing happening between us. Hard to say. I need to learn more. That is one thing that happens when people start learning about cognitive biases. They think that they really understand them. But that's just kind of step one about learning about them. And that's okay. That's natural. Recognizing what a red herring is, recognizing what projection is, recognizing cognitive, confirmation bias. Often when we learn something, we need to use it so that we can learn about it more, right? You're not going to get better at recognizing confirmation bias if you never try to point it out. So I think it's a good thing that they are pointing out perhaps some critical thinking or some cognitive biases that may be happening. But yes, I think learning these, I don't think you can go wrong. It's going to help you understand each other better. So that's a good thing. Lucid says, I've run into Dunning-Krugger effect. I can't tell you how many people thought they could weld, and I gave them a weld test, and they couldn't hardly turn the machine on. Yeah, well, see, that is kind of the... So the idea with Dunning-Krugger, the way that it is presented in the science, is that the ignorant are especially overestimate their skills. And it turns out that everybody overestimates where they are, regardless of their skill set, right? Everybody overestimates themselves. Everybody thinks that they're better than average, right? So if you're at the 5th percentile, so you're terrible at something, maybe you think that you're at the 10th percentile. You're overestimating your ability, right? But the worse off you are, the higher your overestimation can be. So that's that. But yeah, I understand that. So what has happened is people have kind of changed the definition of how they use Dunning-Krugger, just to point out that very ignorant people are overconfident. Okay, and while that's true for everybody. So, so my ex-husband and I showed up to go scuba diving with, okay, never done scuba before. Guess that was Dunning-Krugger effect. No, that wouldn't be Dunning-Krugger. Dunning-Krugger is again, it's just the notion that the least knowledgeable about something have overestimate their abilities the most. That's the idea. Introversion and charisma are two different things, Tom. Yeah, I know. Right. And I was saying that DeSantis, he appears to be an introvert to me. Also, he is not super charismatic. They're two different things. Missed the introversion charisma thing, but yes, introvert just means being around other people drains your energy, whereas extroverts get energy. Introverts can still be quite charming. Oh, no doubt. No doubt. No doubt. And I don't know what the internal thing with Ron DeSantis is, but he appears to me to be an introvert, and he appears to me that he is nervous in his presentation a lot. That would be kind of consistent with someone that would be introverted. That's just my take on it. I'm not his doctor, and I am not qualified to give an actual rating on that or not with Ron DeSantis. I wonder if anyone's ever asked him if he's an introvert or an extrovert. That'd be interesting to know. I'm from New Zealand, and this really disappoints me. The same government rolling back this legislation also sold our train and rail system to China for short-term profit. Yeah, I've been pretty disappointed with a lot of things that New Zealand has done. New Zealand, to me, in many ways, if I can make this correlation here, kind of seems like a blue state in the U.S., that they will try out things. They will try out some left-wing ideas. And they certainly did this over the shutdown. New Zealand had some pretty restrictive policies. And then you see the payoffs to the people in charge that go on to great paydays after serving in government. It just seems as though they were being paid to try things out. That's my take on it. I've never been to New Zealand. I would love to go. Looks like a lovely place, and the people all seem lovely. I do sometimes watch like some New Zealand reality shows that I can find online, and I always find them charming. So, yeah. You get rid of diesel up there in Oregon. I hope you guys can grow your own food. Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah. Ooh, I look forward to having such a wrecked economy that we can finally get along. Winky face. Yeah. I got to test everybody trying to push no cars should have to live without one for 6 months. It's hard to live without a car depending on where you are. Now, I would love to live in a place that I didn't need a car. So, for example, if a friend of mine lives downtown Portland, I have a couple friends that live downtown, but one of them just got rid of his car because he's like, I didn't need it. I didn't want to, pay for parking and just pay for all the costs associated with having a car. And then because the transport's pretty good, you can get around Portland, but he could walk to everywhere that he needed to go. And if he wanted to go somewhere, he could just Uber there or rent a car if he wanted to do something on the weekend. He wanted to drive to the coast or something. It was just actually cheaper for him to just get a rental car than it was to maintain his own car. So I think it'd be nice to do that. I would love to live in a bigger city where I didn't have a car and things were close enough to walk. But as it is right now in Portland, I got to have a car. I can't imagine not having a car, especially in a place where it rains half the year. Yeah, it's tough. Let's see. I shouldn't be driving, but about twice a month I get stubborn and try to do it anyway. After bumping a hard rail, I drive a lot less now. Well, if that's the case, I would, that's the amazing thing that we live in this time where, they got the Uber and the Lyft and everything. And I'm not saying they're super cheap, but that for your own safety, right? It might be a lot better just to be able to do that. And in the past, taxis were so expensive that it was pretty cost prohibitive, especially for poorer people, to use taxis, at least in this city. And so with Uber and Lyft, they've really opened it up, the opportunities. And for safety, yeah, once you get to a point where you're not confident in your driving, it's probably better just to go with a kind of a rideshare type of thing. SR reminds me of a channel I haven't watched in a long time, Something Factory, news narrated by a woman using a gray cat avatar. Truth Factory, maybe, perhaps. I don't know that channel, but that's something to look into. When I'm watching you on my phone, I cannot access comments. Strange but true. That's interesting. I should try that out. I really should have it set up where I have an iPhone and an Android and my smart TV and, everything just to see what it's like on all the different platforms. I guess all I do right now is I pull up the streams on this computer right here. And I think that's on Firefox, perhaps, on a Mac. So it's like, what's it like on Brave? What's it like on Chrome? What's it like on Safari? What's it like on a PC? What's it like on all the different platforms? It's hard to keep up with everything, but I really should do that. Most murders go unsolved. I don't know. This was a high-profile murder, okay? And high-profile murders, usually they're figured out. In fact, I would say, in my opinion, this is the biggest high-profile murder in many years. So that's why this one is particularly interesting. I don't think you can determine introversion by observing someone in public unless you observe that they seem drained after a just short time of being in public. Well, I'm just saying I have a super ability, and I think, it may not be accurate, but of course you can try to determine those things. That's what we do, is we look at people and we try to read their face. We try to read their energy. We try to read their vibe. We do that all the time throughout our day. Okay, so you may not be good at it, right? But from my observation of Ron DeSantis, I would think that he is an introverted guy. That's my guess. Who knows? Maybe someday someone will ask him that in like a softball interview. They might ask him about those things. But anyway, that's just my take. You can agree or not agree. It's cool. That's the awesome thing, right? Is that you should not be taking my word for anything, right? And in this case, you're like, you can't determine it that way, Tom. And if that's what you think, then that's great. Anything that we can do to encourage more independent thinking and more skepticism, I'm in favor of. So please just keep calling me out on my BS. I love it. I love it. Not everybody can walk or ride a bike, too. What about Gramps, people with kids, groceries, bad weather? It's also protection from weirdos. It's okay to not have to use one, but they shouldn't force it. Yeah, they should not force it. That's not at all what I'm saying. Definitely they should not force that. I do feel pretty good. I mean, I do think that it's going to be much sooner than we expect that there will be driverless vehicles. And I think that that's going to be a great thing for people with mobility issues. How awesome would that be? And maybe you could even own one, right? That you could own a vehicle that would drive for you, that you could get in, plug in the coordinates, and then it would just take you there. I don't think that's too far in the future. In fact, I think in Phoenix and in Vegas, they have driverless taxis, at least just for certain parts of the city. So that's pretty interesting stuff. I don't like other people driving me. They talk too much instead of focusing on the road. Also, back in 2020, you had to wear a dumb mask to get a Lyft or a Uber. I'll never wear one. I get that. I get that. I'm just saying that if we look through history, right? It's pretty awesome right now. We got more alternatives than we did 20 years ago. I'm pro alternatives, so having more options, good thing. But yeah, I've never used Lyft or Uber myself. I've never done it. I've never installed the app. I've used it with someone else a couple of times, but I've never used it myself. So, Tom, when an advertisement rudely interrupts your live stream, we don't get deposited back where you left off. Have to backtrack. It's very irritating. Maybe figure out how to control when ads pop up. Yes, that is something that I need to learn how to do. In fact, I know that I can control. I can hit a button when to run an ad. And so, yes, I need to learn how to do that. Right now, I was concentrating on making sure that the stream worked, that the stream was going up, and that it looked okay. So once I get that down, then I will work on the ad thing. But you're correct. The ad should go in a particular spot, like after a story, boom, here's an ad. I'll work on that. And I got some ideas on how to do that. All these things take time. And one of the things in doing this, there's not a lot of people giving explainers on this, right? And so a lot of it you kind of have to figure out yourself. I don't know anybody that I could ask how to do this. Whereas many things in life, there's people that you can ask how to do something. Oh, I'm gonna chainsaw this, or I'm gonna chop this wood. Well, I can find that information quite easily. Finding out specifically, how do I insert an ad on YouTube? It's tricky. There's not a lot of information out there. So, but thank you for the feedback on that. I will be working on that. Yeah, no, I understand, Erie Fairy, what you said. I know you just wanted to not force the no car thing. And I'm with you there. I don't want to force that at all, you know. I'm just saying that I like the I like options. Options are good. Yeah, Natasha says, I've only Ubered once. My brother paid for it, so I only got the physical experience, not the digital experience. Yeah, same with me. I've never done it. I've never put it on my phone. I should, probably. And that would probably be a good thing to do, right? Put one of those on your phone and maybe use it one time so you know that it works, right? So you know that your credit card is connected to it and you kind of understand how it works, because there may be an emergency sometime that you need to use that. And when there's an emergency, you don't want to then have to download an app and put in your information and all that kind of stuff. If there's an emergency, you just want to be able to hit it. So that'd probably be a good thing for all of us to do, is to at least have one ride-sharing app on our phone connected that we've tried out to use once, just as a backup. You know, and when you have a backup, you tend to have better luck. Right? It just seems to work that way. Mo options, mo beta. I agree. China Uncensored seems to know how to insert an ad. Maybe he can help you out. China Uncensored. Well, I will have to check out that site. I think it's something that I can learn how to do. I've kind of been overwhelmed with a lot of the technical stuff trying to figure this out. So I am glad that we were able to stream with what appeared to be a good quality stream today. I will go back and look at it and see, you know, look at the CPU usage and the bit rate and the dropped frames. Apparently, it's had 0 dropped frames, according to my side here. So that's great. Maybe dropping it down to 720p was the thing to do. I'll go look at it and figure it out. And yeah, that's something to work on, is how to insert an ad. That would be kind of cool, to have a little commercial break. Oh, I think, like you, concerning restricting cars. Yeah, not only that, I think we all have a lot more in common than we may believe. I think you would be shocked at go meet somebody new, and you may be more in common on certain issues than you really think, especially issues that you really can't talk about. A lot of those issues, often, people will agree on, if I can code that well enough. Anyway, that is the show for today. I appreciate you all stopping by. I did not do a Midnight Americano last night. I was out having fun, but I'm going to try to do one tonight, and perhaps I may try some experimenting tonight with inserting an ad or something like that, if I can figure that out by then. Anyway, I'm going to need to get outside and get some work done, because I guess this is the last day for quite a while that it will not be raining in Portland. So if you need to get out, go out and do something today. Hope you all have a beautiful, beautiful one. I'll see you next time. Peace.